Hey guys, what's going on? Lucky here. So today's project is to get the lower patch panels on Michael's 66 Chevelle. Gonna get them installed. What I had done was cut the rust portion off a while ago and just threw them in the trash. And I left behind it the reinforcement, which you can see why the rust was there. The moisture and leaves and stuff get between the reinforcement and the actual skin, and then that's where it all starts to grow. So this is what the reinforcement looks like, a replacement one. Everybody's repopping everything. So here is the reinforcement, and that is the replacement skin. I lined everything up, shimmed it at the top. I don't know if you can really see, but everything lines up pretty well. The one thing you gotta remember is when this thing is on the ground, the frame has a little flex in it, and the door jambs will line up great when it's on the ground, but when you lift it, it will close, especially when you unbolt the bottom here, it'll close quite a bit. So what I did was I lined it all up on the ground, and then when I lifted it, I unbolted the core support in the front, and I put a nice spacer in there so that while it was being lifted, the body was aligned, and that brought the seal all back to where it's supposed to be. It's a little bit loose right now because I've already taken it apart. I just put it back together to shoot this little video, but it does line up pretty well. So now I'm going to take off that panel right there, cut off the rusty reinforcement, and start fitting the new reinforcement before I put the new skin back over it. So here's the video. These are Clecos. You drill a small hole, put them in, and it just holds it in place. The cool thing about that is after it's all said and done, I've now set the forward, the back, the lower, it's all been fitted, and I can take this whole thing over to the workbench, remove the Clecos, trim everything, and then just weld it all back together. At least I know it's lined up the same way it was when I took it apart. I got a little piece of rubber reinforcement set back in there just so that this thing is not got a bunch of flex on it, and I'm going to cut it below where I'm going to weld the new skin on so that I can weld the reinforcement all the way around, because that's pretty important. Also too is this car isn't painted, so I wouldn't do this on a car that was painted, so keep that in mind. I'll use these measurements as a pattern to trim up the new one, make them the same, and then tack it, and then refit the whole thing. It's a little time consuming, but it's really the only way to make everything fit right. Okay, so here's the old one. Here's the new one cut to fit. A couple things were, this thing's been, whatever dye they used to make these, they made 10 gazillions of them. So the edges were a little bit rounded, so I put them in a vise and sharpened up the edges so it would match a little bit better. It's pretty close. And now I'm going to clean this up and tack it and test fit it one of the many times. Okay, I've test fitted a few times, rounded up the edges, sharpened up the other sides, make sure the width is pretty close. And I think we're good. So I think I'm going to, tack it in place. Okay, so welded it up already. Cleaned it all up. I used my 3M little belt tenor. I think they make these at Harbor Freight someplace too. I got the 3M one. I lucked out, got a great deal on it. Pretty much my best metal fabricating tool, besides a hammer and a dolly. Remember the holes we drilled in here earlier to use the Clincos to line things up? Alright, so you can see the body line looks pretty good. It's in a little bit, but when I tighten it up from the bottom, that'll actually make this come back out. Yeah, looks pretty cool.
Yeah, sharp scribe.
Okay, so considering I don't do body work, this thing turned out pretty decent. Last thing I did was plug weld the 3 holes where the clecos were. The line is definitely usable. Got a little wide right there, but when I take the fender off, I'll be able to massage that out before I tack it from the backside. But the new reinforcement and the skin are installed. One thing I did notice is that looks like the flare, I got to measure the other side, but the flare stops right at the body line. I was able to keep the stock body line in the stock location, and this little flare portion of the fender fades right into that. So that's going to take a little mud right there, but I think it turned out pretty decent. All right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like if you like, share if you like, and leave a comment. See you guys.